Sean McVay mentioned he really wanted to have this process, and particularly this time of year, be collaborative. What has that been like so far, and what are some progress points that you can see tangibly happening in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a great process so far. Obviously, we're a little bit limited at certain points during the offseason in our ability to communicate when it comes to football and all that. I think he understands that I've been, in 4 different offenses with a bunch of different coordinators and seen a lot of different football. And he's been around a while too. So it's been nice being able to talk ball, and it can be the simplest things of an individual route on a play, or it's a full play concept, or it's a half field read, or whatever it is. There's things that I've done in the past that I think, make sense to him and make sense for our offense. There's also things that, I've never been exposed to that are in this offense that I'm trying to learn and make second nature to myself as well. So it's been fun. We've been able to kind of bounce ideas back and forth off of each other, we'll figure out what this thing looks like, come August, September.
If we'd have seen that clip 2 years ago, we'd have lost our minds. First of all, that was before the Rams completely did whatever they did to their uniform and their logo and their look. We would have thought we were on a different planet. And then to see Matthew Stafford in that setting, it's just incomprehensible. But that's where we are. Stafford with the new look Rams, like it or not for me. And we may like the result because he's definitely an upgrade over Jared Goff. That's what the defensive lineman said. I think it was Brockers.
It was Michael Brockers,
who ended up getting traded right. to the Lions.
Oh, hi, Jared. Good to see you, Jared.
Oh, that stuff I said, and I just be trying to be a good teammate.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say things like that. By the way, you're a great quarterback.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I mean, listen, we know it's an upgrade. Everybody in football knows it's an upgrade. I'm rooting for the Rams in a way, really, because yeah, I want to see the haters of the Matthew Stafford universe, be put into place a little bit. Because, again, I think you and I have discussed this a lot since we've known each other. He's really talented. He's a lot better than what people think, and he's been stuck up there in crapola for a long time. So now he's got some players and some coaches around him, and let's see what they can do. But they have not had a quarterback like this that's got this type of arm, this type of explosive just mindset as far as dropping back to pass and looking to torch you. And then you talk McVay's genius off of that and all of those type of things. I mean, it could be a special combination. I'm expecting it to be really damn good and a lot of fun to watch, especially because they got some studs and some stars around him too. So that's going to make things fun to watch too.
I recall that when you did your first top 40 list when we were together, Stafford was number 3.
He was up there.
He's fallen since then, but you had him at number 3. So what can a guy like McVay, who's been working with Jared Goff the entire time he's been a head coach, what can he learn from a guy like Matthew Stafford who's been around 12 years now in the NFL?
Yeah, well, again, I think McVay's awesome in the fact that he's a listener. That's why he's a great coach. He listens. He communicates. I bet you Stafford's going to be able to bring some passing drop-back concepts to the offense, and he's going to teach Sean McVay how he read it and things like that. And McVay's going to go, I like that. I can get behind that. I've never really learned it that way or done that play. I always wondered how that was coached exactly. So I do think there's going to be elements to where he'll bring to the offense that we haven't seen the Rams do with Jared Goff, because Matt Stafford's just going to go, hey, look, this has worked really well for me for 5-10 years, whatever. A little bit like we saw Brady do some of that with Tampa Bay. And then, of course, the real exciting part is the opposite side of that, the play actions, the boots, and how great McVay is at doing that and the up-tempo offense. But then he's got a great feel of dialing up big plays from time to time. And now he's just got a blank canvas just to draw people going everywhere. And just, hey, this guy can fade this way and throw it that way and do anything. He can do anything on the football field. It's one of the greatest arms in the history of the sport. So that's where it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and look, I think the general consensus is the Rams have the chance to be, nothing against Jared Goff, but dramatically better with Matthew Stafford. And this is going to be a great litmus test, both as it relates to the Lions and as it relates to the Rams and the two quarterbacks. Will the Rams be dramatically better with Stafford? Let's look at the help that Matthew Stafford has around him. He hasn't had much help historically in his career, although there was a time he had Ndamukong Suh and he had Calvin Johnson, and they still didn't do all that much.
No.
Running back, Malcolm Brown's out. Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson are there. Akers, a rookie last year, emerged as the guy, and Sean McVay has said things suggesting that he can be the every down. I think they're done with the three-headed monster, and I think they're ready to try to get back to having a Todd Gurley type of a presence, and they're going to give Akers every chance to be that guy, Chris.
Yeah, I think so, too. Well, when you have a stud, and Akers, I think, is on the edge of being like a real stud, you do them a disservice at times by doing running back by committee. Because really, they're better as they play and they get in the flow of the game and get a feel for the cutback lanes and things like that. So they got a guy that I think is a borderline superstar type talent at tailback. And I think McVay probably recognizes that and goes, you know what? We're going to give him his touches. I'm not going to waste a play where it could have been an 80-yard touchdown just because I'm going to go the committee approach. But damn, those are two good running backs. Henderson's real damn good too. Fits what they want to do. Inside, outside zone, good pass catchers out of the backfield. That's a pretty strong 1-2 tandem there. But, you said it. Akers is the real deal.
And then at the receiver position, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are the holdovers. They really didn't have a replacement for Brandon Cooks last year. Now they have Deshaun Jackson. If he can stay healthy, great. The question is, can he stay healthy? And then they have the young version of Deshaun Jackson and Tutu Atwell, who they drafted with their first pick this year, even though their first pick came late in the draft because they keep trading their first rounders. Van Jefferson also on the roster. What do you make of the Rams receiving core right now?
Real strong. I think it's a real strong group right there. You got a little bit of everything. First off, Kupp and Woods are not superstar receivers. They're not maybe top 10 receivers in football, but they both might be somewhere between 10 and 20 and can do everything. Can beat you deep, can run the Julian Edelman underneath routes, make plays after the catch, get yards that way. They're tough, they block. That's where the beauty is of those two receivers. Kupp and Woods are interchangeable, and you can't pin either one to a certain role. And to me, that makes certain offenses really good. But now you add the Deshaun Jackson, Tutu Atwell aspect of it. Wow. Tutu Atwell's got 3 rockets up his butt, just like Deshaun Jackson used to have. I'm going to say he's got 2.5 now at his older age. But either way, that's going to add another dynamic too, and fits really well with your quarterback, who can launch it as good as anybody we've seen in football history. So that's where they're going to be able to put you in a bind. Think about it this way. It's, they could have Deshaun Jackson here in a tight split and Robert Woods here and Tutu Atwell, the guy with 3 rockets up his butt. He could be that fake speed sweep guy. So now you're giving him the ball and you're worried about going sideline to sideline, and there's Cam Akers. Oh, wait, Stafford kept the ball off of play action. And now Deshaun Jackson, we were so worried sideline to sideline, he's flying down the middle for an 80-yard touchdown. That's where I think the beauty of their little wide receiver unit can really be in McVay's formula.
Yeah, and I think this is the kind of thing that can maybe reinvigorate McVay. Maybe things were getting a little stale, even though they made it to the Final 8 last year, right? They beat the Seahawks in a playoff game in Seattle, which in and of itself is impressive. But there's just been kind of this sense that the Rams have been in a funk ever since they lost in the Super Bowl to the Patriots. Not that that's an uncommon reality. I think a lot of teams that get to the Super Bowl and lose to the Patriots have, struggles getting over it, especially when it felt like a game that the Rams could have won. This is kind of the reset that I think Sean McVay needed. You get some speed back in the receiving core. You replace your quarterback with a guy that you think can get it done. And this would be one of the all-time fascinating stories in recent NFL history, if a guy who was mired in crapola, as you said, with the Detroit Lions, could go to L.A. and all of a sudden have this second act. Rich Gannon recently told, I think, Sam Farmer of the L.A. Times, that he sees this as like a Gannon and John Gruden pairing late in Gannon's career. Not that Gannon was ever Matthew Stafford before, but Gannon became an MVP once he hooked up with John Gruden. Yeah,
I'm excited like that. I saw Rich say that. That was a great compliment, and yeah. Look what it did for Rich Gannon to get with a, boy genius. That's what Gruden was at that time, and we know that's what we talk about McVay that way. Mike, I think you're spot on there, though. I think kind of that new blood and the new quarterback is going to, get the juices flowing for McVay. Oh, wait, I could do this and I can do that. And, oh, wait, Deshaun Jackson, I haven't had a guy that can really run and take the top off a defense like that in a long time. The Rams, listen, they're like Hollywood. They're star-studded. They're star-studded. But like Hollywood, people, they can be a little shallow at times, and that's where their team is too. And I'm saying that jokingly, that's kind of but yeah, that's the only thing I worry about with the Rams and their team as we go through here. It's a very top-ended roster. It's the only thing I worry about with the Rams. A few injuries, and I think it could really change their football team. We know they've made all these demands for stars and trades and traded draft picks and everything like that. And because of that, yeah, a lot of their salary cap is tied up into just a few guys. There's not a lot of depth on this football team, and I think that's the scariest aspect for them.
And here's the other reality. In L.A., the B-side to the record or the second movie on the double feature at the drive-in, there's a chance it's going to be better than the main attraction. They got to worry about the Chargers. Not in the same conference. They only play once every 4 years in games that count. But the Chargers are on the rise. And if the Rams don't get better, they're going to have to be very concerned about being second fiddle in their own stadium. Offensive line.
Yeah.
Andrew Whitworth, David Edwards, Brian Allen, Austin Corbett, Rob Havenstein, side to side. Whitworth just keeps going. At some point, they got to have a post-Whitworth plan, but he keeps going. Where is that offensive line? And they got to keep Stafford healthy.
I know. Middle of the road, probably even below, a little bit of the middle of the pack, in my opinion. The Rams have taken the approach of, we're going to get stars at the other position, and I think they go, McVay and his offense and his coaching, they'll protect and make our average to below average offensive line look a little better than they actually are. They've kind of taken that angle. That's what they are. They haven't spent great money or resources on offensive line play because I think McVay looks at it and goes, wait, I know how to coach the run game. I can keep people off my stuff with the fake speed sweeps and all the misdirection we do. So I don't want to pay offensive linemen, $15 million, $20 million a year. That's the approach they've taken. They kind of do it with their system and McVay's coaching. It's a solid group, but in my eyes, certainly not a special group by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and that's really the concern. We spend 7 months talking about possibilities and the glasses are all half full. Then you start playing and injuries impact a team. And one way to get a quarterback injured is to have a crappy offensive line. One way to get a quarterback injured is to have Aaron Donald chasing the quarterback around. He's still the greatest in the game. What do we think of the front seven, though, now with Donald, Leonard Floyd, A'Shaun Robinson still there, Sebastian Joseph Day, and others? Where is that? Is it just the presence of Aaron Donald makes it great regardless of who else is there?
Well, it definitely brings it to another level. You're right about that. I mean, he's, you had that article on PFT this week. He's the best corner in football because he puts so much pressure on the quarterback, right? I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. We're looking at LT, Reggie White, you name Ray Lewis. This is Aaron Donald. He's one of the greatest defensive players in the history of football. Let's just all take it in and enjoy it. He is one of the greatest of all time. That's what he is. And, yeah, he is the jump-off point. The D-line, I think, is pretty damn good. I mean, Leonard Floyd, you know me. I got a man crush on him. I think he's awesome on the edge. A'Shaun Robinson can be a beast in the middle. They got to find that other guy that comes off the edge. I don't know if that's last year's fourth-round pick, Terrell Lewis, who I loved out of Alabama. He's kind of a first-round talent, Mike, that had like a knee issue. Maybe he comes in and adds to the pass rush. That's where they got to have to figure this out. It's going to be interesting, too. Raheem Morris there as the D coordinator, right? So it's definitely a different scheme than Brandon Staley. And now they're going to be running a little bit more Seattle scheme, which, it's funny. The NFC West has got 3 teams running the same defensive system, basically. I am kind of just excited to see how that plays out. But the defense is star-studded. But just like we kind of talked about, man, 1 or 2 injuries would scare the hell out of me. It's young and improving in some other areas, and that's where we'll see if they can dodge the bullet that way.
A lot of eggs in a couple of baskets between Donald on the front seven and Jalen Ramsey in the secondary. They used that first-round restricted free agency tender to keep Darius Williams around. They didn't need to. They could have gone with a second-rounder, but it shows they like him. They believe in him.
Yep.
They may not be able to pay him next year because of Ramsey, a guy they gave up 2 first-round picks for. Look, they've been a team not bashful about giving up first-round picks to get established veterans, but if those veterans get hurt, where's your depth? I think that's a concern, both sides of the ball, really, for the Rams, but especially on defense.
Especially on defense. I mean, you said it. You take Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, and Jalen Ramsey, I mean, holy crap. That's a lot of damn money for 3 guys. Yeah, the rest of the team is, younger guys, guys who are still trying to prove that they're worthy of, making a big money second type contract, that type of stuff. They've done a great job of filling in those kind of areas with guys that are under the radar or late round draft picks. That's really where they've saved their football team that way. But yeah, they're living dangerously. Like you said, it's 1 or 2 injuries, and all of a sudden you could go, this is the best defense in football, and now they're like the 20th best because those 2 guys are gone.
And, the Rams are in one of the toughest divisions in football. Cardinals, Seahawks, 49ers all have reason to be optimistic about this season. But there are going to be people who, when it's time to make those preseason picks, they're going to look at the Rams. They're going to look at where they are. They're going to look at what we see in the preseason. Not that we see a lot of the playbook, but
you get
just once you get comfortable, you get comfortable with Matthew Stafford in that funky helmet that the Rams now wear. You're going to have some people warming up to the idea of the Rams becoming the second team in consecutive years after 54 Super Bowls with no one playing in a Super Bowl in their home stadium. We could go 2 for 2 with the Buccaneers last year and the Rams this year.
Wouldn't shock me. It really wouldn't. I mean, we know what they're capable of. I still think their defense, no matter what, with the coaching change, is going to be a top 5 defense as long as they stay healthy. They lost Staley, but Raheem Morris is really damn good too and creative. He'll leave the boundaries of the Seattle scheme. And then, we hit on the offense. We know there's talent, but now you got another schematical advantage there with Stafford and a new look that, defenses in the NFC West are going to be like, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to attack us with Stafford. So they might be able to catch some people off guard early in the year too. Wouldn't be shocking. I mean, their offense is going to improve. It's going to go from wherever it was last year to top 10-ish this year. That's how I feel about it, at least.
There's an intriguing wrinkle here as well, because my next question for you is, which team in the division poses the greatest threat to the Rams? But you mentioned Raheem Morris a couple of times. His recent history has been intriguing. He's worked hand in hand with Kyle Shanahan in Atlanta. He's just back on defense recently. He was the passing game coordinator in 2015 and 2016 with Kyle, the receivers coach in 2016 with Kyle. That was the year they almost won the Super Bowl. They were up 28-3. There's some intermingling of secrets there.
Oh, definitely.
They're going to come to a boil when those teams play each other twice this year.
I'm glad you brought it up, Mike. 100%. I would think it's part of the reason McVay brought him out there. Let's not forget McVay and Raheem Morris were also with Shanahan in Washington. So there is going to be knowledge of, I remember Kyle likes to do this on this run play, or if we play this defense, they block it this way in the run game and do those things. It is going to be an advantage for the Rams and Morris, the fact that he's there and has direct knowledge of the Shanahan offense. So you're right. It adds to that dynamic. That's why I picked that McVay-Shanahan. That's the playoff matchup I would like there, because there's a lot of personal stuff there. It's really awesome. In the NFC West, I mean, between those 2 teams, the Cardinals got better. Seattle, we know, is going to be in the mix. I mean, damn, is that some division. I have a hard time. I last week I was going, AFC North's the best division, and now we're talking about the NFC West right now. I'm going, no, I think the NFC West is still the best. I mean, it's phenomenal.
It's amazing that Raheem Morris hasn't gotten more serious consideration to be a coach again. He was too young when he got his first job. I don't think he was ready to be thrust into that role in Tampa at age 32. He's had very diverse experience since then on both sides of the ball. How many times do you see a coach that's been a high-level offensive coach, high-level defensive coach? Somebody's going to end up with a hell of a head coach eventually, and Raheem Morris, who is only 44 years old, Chris.
Yeah.
He's going to get a second act somewhere, and I got a feeling he's going to be pretty damn good.
I agree. Too young, maybe. I was real close to Raheem when I was in Tampa. I mean, too young, but always knew he was going to be a rising star. And I'll say this, too. The Bucs did nothing to really help him when he took over for John Gruden. They spent no money. That's the one thing I'll always remember is he got there. He coached the team. They did nothing. Greg Schiano took over, and they spent like $400 million that offseason. I'm joking, of course. But, yes, He's got a Mike Tomlin type of leadership, attitude, communication style, and I'm with you. If you made me bet money, I think Raheem Morris was great as a head coach last year for the Falcons and what he did there. I think the second time around is going to work and will be a lot more successful than what he had in Tampa.
Everything about the way that his arrival in Tampa went down had bad karma written all over it. They throw out Gruden and Bruce Allen. They give the jobs to Raheem Morris and Mark Dominic.
Right.
And it was clear that it was set up ahead of time, a palace coup type of a thing. It was bad from the get-go. And I think second time around, and he was young. Look, you're young and you're ambitious. You're not going to say no. Hey, you want to be the head coach? What do you say? No.
Right.
No.
Right.
I'm loyal to the guy that you're firing. No, I don't want to take over. But I think 12 years later, with all the experience he's had since then, and what he's going to get this year with McVay, this guy's going to be ready when January rolls around, and somebody's going to get a pretty good head coach.